did it come up saying that you need to be the host?
Do I need to?
Yep, you need to click it. I've started the recording, so.
It's got it.
Yep, got it. Okay. Should be set to go. Eric, can you hear Jim? Go ahead and talk to him.
Hi, I'm Jim White, Professor Emeritus from the University of California, San Diego. I'm a medical physiologist and I taught in the PE department at UC San Diego and also at the School of Medicine. I was the director of the Exercise Physiology and Human Performance Lab, and in that lab, during my tenure at the university from 1964 to around year 2000, we tested 11,000 people in our program. And although I'm not a nutritionist, we collected a bunch of information on the diets and nutritional practices of the people in our program. So we're going to talk about nutrition today and share some brand new information that you might not be aware of. This is the second lecture in the health lecture series. And if you want to view the first lecture, Useful Aging, you can contact Jacob Winter here at the Wood River Community YMCA, and the phone number is 208-928-6713. And ask him for the link and how that you can watch those this program again, and also the Youthful Aging lecture that was given last month. And here's Jacob's phone number in case you want to write that down and contact him for linking to see these recordings. I want to share with you a little bit of information. The material that I'm going to give you today is provided for educational purposes, and I want to make sure that if you take any of the recommendations that you hear or see on this program, that you check with your physician to make sure it's not going to be injurious to you as an individual. So as you can see by the Sun Valley horizon, life is everything, and so don't shortchange your living. And through that, we know that about 90 to 95% of ill health is delivered to your body because of a lifestyle, your diet and your health habits, and environmental pollutants that are in the air and our water. Those pollutants can enter our bodies by the way of oxygen-free radicals or by pathogens. And pathogens is the infected material that we're going to talk about pretty much today. You protect yourself with your immune system, and as a pathogen enters your body recognizes that pathogen, and the immune system very cleverly attacks it and protects you from disease. Once you get infected by a pathogen, your immune system fights that pathogen, kills it, and then produces antibodies, which your body can then protect itself should that pathogen reappear weeks, months, years later. So what we're going to talk about is the effects of the kind of nutrition that you're into and how it helps your immune system. And by the way, the next lecture that I give next month will be on the latest information on the immune system. Be an interesting program. So what do we need for protection? Well, there are a lot of things that are after us in this world, and aging is one of them, and the habits or lifestyle habits are others, and they create oxygen-free radicals, and those can be deleterious to our body. There's also out there environmental infections called pathogens, and they produce diabetes, heart disease, certain dementias like Alzheimer's, premature aging. And so we're very careful about pathogens and how we control them. There are about 1,400 different human environmental pathogens in our environment: bacteria, molds, fungi, viruses. The pink virus is a COVID virus we're all familiar with. The little blue one is an influenza virus, slightly different, and monkeypox. So I guess instead of wearing a mask, the government is going to have us eating bananas and swinging from trees in the future. Viruses are really similar in many ways. Some researchers don't even believe that viruses are alive, and they are not cells. They don't have DNA. They don't split into new cells, and they have a very particular way of attacking humans. And so if we can, I'll try to point to what we've got here with my pointer. Here on the left, upper left corner, we have a typical depiction of the COVID-19. It is attacking a human cell that was just innocently standing there, and this particular person may have inhaled it or had COVID virus on their hands and then rubbed their nose or their eyes or whatever. But anyway, what happens is the COVID virus has on the outside, all the way around, it forms the corona. Those are spike proteins, and those spike proteins have a sticky covering of a kind of waxy oil. And what those sticky spike proteins do is they attach to your cells. They attach, and you really can't get them away unless you wash your hands with hot soapy water or rub alcohol or some disinfectant on your skin. That will kill the COVID-19 virus. But what happens, it pulls that human cell in, and there are other, these little blue projections actually penetrate that cell, and they feed into that human cell RNA from the virus. And now this new human cell is now a COVID-19 virus ready to split and divide into new COVID viruses. And that's how we get sick when we are exposed to that environmental pathogen. There are many pathogens and oxygen-free radicals around. Pathogens can be introduced into your body by way of tobacco smoke, marijuana smoke, the mercury found in warm water fish. Excessive sunlight causes oxygen-free radicals, loud noises, emotional situations, not exercising, and eating improperly, all can affect you in a very deleterious way. There are other lifestyle pathogens, such as drinking excess alcohol. Excess alcohol is probably more than 2 drinks a day for a male and more than 1 drink a day for a female. Saturated fats are another source of oxygen-free radicals, processed foods, obesity, and those pathogens can enter your body. They come to your skin, and if you have a cut, those pathogens can get into that cut and get into your bloodstream. If you inhale a pathogen, say COVID-19, that virus can attach to your saliva and be swallowed down and affect your digestive system, your stomach, and your mouth and throat. If you inhale it, it can go down to your trachea into your lungs. If you have the COVID virus on your hands and you rub your eyes or your nose or your mouth, that COVID will attach with its little sticky projections. It can even get in through your eyes, and a handshake is something you probably want to avoid. When you handshake, you transfer 280 million microorganisms. If you do a hand bump, a fist bump, you only transfer about 7 million. So the handshake may be something that's going to go out of business. Once the pathogen or the oxygen-free radical enters your body, and through the oxygen-free radicals come in by refined foods, they circulate into your body and they attempt to attack any susceptible cells that you might have in your lungs, in your stomach, in your mouth, and in your throat, entirely throughout your body. And they stick there and they can interject their RNA and turn your healthy cells into COVID cells. A normal cell, you can see here, has a membrane. The membrane covers the entire cell. Inside the cell is a nucleus, and inside the nucleus are DNA strains. So those are your genetic factors that are very important for health and future. And every time this cell divides, the DNA goes into the new daughter cells. And so if these are infected, you transfer 2 bad COVID type cells, and we want to avoid that. One of the major things is the membrane that covers your cell. The membrane has 2 layers, and you can see here in the green protein receptor site, in this case takes in calcium. Your cells have literally thousands and thousands of receptor sites, and the receptor sites will take in vitamins, nutrients of all sorts. They will not take in pathogens or oxygen-free radicals, but those oxygen and free radicals come in by a different way. They come in by attaching themselves to the membrane, and this oxygen-free radical spins around and takes an oxygen electron out of the membrane. And when it takes that oxygen electron out of the membrane, it weakens that spot. And what happens is these oxygen-free radicals actually destroy the membrane, and that allows, in this case, cancer agents to enter into the cell and into the nucleus, and that's where we have problems. So what we need to do is take care of these oxygen-free radicals and protect ourselves against the numerous pathogens that are out there. This is a picture of a cell, and this white clusters happen to be receptor sites. Your body has literally thousands of receptor sites. The receptor sites will take in, for example, vitamin D, zinc, calcium, potassium. All of the minerals go through, and all of the vitamins and minerals that you get in your nutrition will go into those receptor sites and nourish and keep the cell happy and healthy. One of the things is about the membrane, if it's damaged, there's the pathogens will enter and attack your DNA. And what happens in the DNA is that we have certain parts of the chromosome, there are what are called telomeres, T-E-L-O-M-E-R-E, telomer. The telomer is actually composed of coils of DNA. DNA are your genetic factors, and these telomeres are on the end, and they protect those chromosomes. So what happens is that here is a depiction at the end of the chromosome. You can see the telomeres. With age and faulty living, you shorten the length of the telomeres. And every time here's a normal telomere, and here is a picture of the shortened telomeres. And what happens with shortened telomeres, it invites disease such as Alzheimer's disease, heart disease, cancer, etc. So the object is to keep these telomeres as long as we can. One of the problems with it is that every time a normal cell splits in your body, and this is all your cells, skin cells, lung cells, heart cells, etc., every time they split, these telomeres get shorter. And so what research has done in the last couple of years is they've found that even in seniors, very old people like me, and I am 90 years old this month, they can still exist with these splitting of the cells because they have many more years of cell division if in fact they live a certain lifestyle. And so since I'm involved in preventive medicine, I've taken all of my good judgment. And so how do we keep and maintain the length of our telomeres? Because remember, every time they shorten, they come closer to being invaded by pathogens and oxygen-free radicals. Pardon me. So medical research has shown that in order to maintain or lengthen your telomeres, you should get into an exercise program 5 to 6 days a week and exercise for 45 to 60 minutes of vigorous exercise. You need to get enough sleep. Generally about 7 to 8 hours is recommended. And the reason that sleep is important, that all of your cells repair themselves only when you are sleeping. So that's the way you further protect your cells. You maintain an active romantic life at least twice a week, reduce stress in your life, progressive relaxation. I have a very interesting lecture on progressive relaxation we'll do in the future. You can ingest certain supplements that allow telomeres to lengthen. Yes, there are certain specific supplements that you can purchase on the internet that you can get your telomeres to lengthen if you follow eating those supplements every day. And then, of course, eating specific foods and avoiding specific foods. And all 7 of those items are something that we can all do. Now, the very specific foods that you can add to your diet, if you're not, to lengthen telomeres, has to do with something you wouldn't have really suspected to be effective, and that is flaxseed oil or canola oil. And they have elevated omega-3s. They have more omega-3s in their composition than they have omega-6 or omega-9. So what we want to do is try to get about 1 gram of flaxseed oil or canola oil every day. The greens are very important for health and lengthening your telomeres. Spinach, kale, artichokes, green tea are very important. Whole grain oats, mixed nuts, mushrooms of all varieties, and berries. And the berries every day are very, very helpful in keeping your telomere lengths as they should be. There is another ingredient called cat's claw. Cat's claw. It's AC11. It's a rainforest vine, and it's a supplement. And the telomeres, after eating that for 6 months, they were 5% longer. So it's a very significant way of eating these greens and keeping those into your diet on a daily basis. You want to avoid saturated fats, for example, corn oil and vegetable oils and saturated oils. Processed grains, processed meats such as luncheon meats, sugar. We've always hear about that, but that is a processed commodity, because when these foods are digested, they go into the circulation and then they go to the cells, and your immune system reacts to having those oxygen-free radicals in your body. Your immune system perceives it as a subversive element, as an enemy, and it produces what is called NFKB. We'll talk about that. It produces hormones, C-reactive proteins, amino acids, and they inflame and they disrupt the DNA throughout your entire body when you eat those products. There is something, a new study that I just read about a couple weeks ago, that there are certain foods that absolutely fight disease. And even after DNA damage in your cell, your immune system can convert or eradicate those injured cells, and introducing an anti-inflammatory steroid called PPAR. Probably something you haven't heard, but it's the PPAR kill pathogens and repair damaged DNA and return damaged cells back to normal cells. So these PPARs are very important, and it's a new finding that would be something that you would be interested in. The PPAR enters your cells by going through the membrane, and they go through a little pore in the membrane. This is a receptor site, say, for vitamin D. And by the way, every cell in your body has a receptor sites for vitamin D. So it's a vitamin that you really must be very careful about keeping up. And I would say at least 5,000 to 6,000 international units, maybe even up to 10,000 international units would be recommended for vitamin D, because it is so important for every cell in your body. Anyway, these PPARs, peroxisome proliferator activated receptors. So PPAR is a lot easier to say. It's a nuclear receptor protein, and it goes through the pores of your cell membrane, in through the second layer of membrane in your nucleus, and there it circulates in there. And if there is a pathogen attacking your DNA, or if there's a pathogen that has just entered, this PPAR receptor protein will attack it and kill it off. And it is very important that PPARs be part of your diet, and I'll show you how to get those into the diet in a moment. The PPARs convert into an appropriate analog in case there are more than 2 different pathogens to attack. So let's say that that this particular cell was infected with pathogen A. That might be a COVID-2, which is a common cold virus, and it is also infected, let's say, with the monkeypox virus. Well, the PPAR splits into 2 different compounds and attacks those 2 pathogens who are down there trying to disrupt your DNA. Very important. So again, the dietary oils of flaxseed, canola oil, and olive oil help create an environment on the nucleus that the PPARs can pass through the nucleus and into, through the membrane and into the nucleus, and then when the cell splits in during mitosis, those cells will be healthy. So anyway, the PPARs help reduce inflammation. They protect the DNA and the telomere lengths, which are two of the most important, and they control NFKB production. And I'm going to tell you about NFKB. It's something probably you haven't heard about. And the NFKB is a, well, I'll read it to you here. It is a nuclear factor kappa light chain enhancer of the activated beta cells. And I will erase that. So it's a lot easier to say NFKB than it is to say that long description of that compound. It is a normally occurring complex secreted by the cells in your immune system, NFKB. When you have a proper nutrition and you exercise well and you're taking care of your body, the NFKB secretion goes into your cells and protects your body against heart disease, cancer, lung disease, arthritis, diabetes, bone problems, atherosclerosis, heart disease. It is the most important preventive compound that you can maintain in your body. And when your body's cells splits, it splits from a healthy cell into a new healthy cell. But if you don't eat properly and you're not exercising and you don't take care of yourself, your immune system alerts the NFKB and it produces too much NFKB, and that too much NFKB causes inflammation of the cell and it can actually hurt you. So it's a double-edged sword. So we have to do something to make sure that our production of NFKB beta is maintained at a normal and proper level. So how do we do that? Well, the items above the NFKB inflammation are fungus, mental stress, too much refined sugar, bacteria, obesity, tobacco and marijuana smoke, not exercising, saturated fats in the diet, all of the things that we try to avoid, those cause disease. But we can prevent that from happening by maintaining proper NFKB production, by eating phytonutrient foods, anti-inflammatory foods, antioxidant foods, exercising, participating in a loving relationship, progressive relaxation, keeping your body lean, avoiding tobacco and marijuana smoke. So those are the ways that you can protect yourself and keep your NFKB levels properly. So what do you think are the foods, the specific foods that would actively fight disease and keep your NFKB levels perfect? Well, here they are, but there are too many to talk about. So if you would like the list, just email to me and I'll send you a list that the foods that fight disease. But we're not going to go over those now because there are just too many. But what are the best foods for you as an individual? Well, we evolved from prehistoric man. Occasionally they ate fish or eggs or something that they could catch or kill, but mainly they ate grains, fruits, vegetables, seeds, and so forth. In short, they ate plant foods. So I'm going to explain briefly about photosynthesis. Here is a plant, in this case depicted by an orange tree. The orange tree takes in carbon dioxide and puts out oxygen. It also puts out water vapor. In order for this plant to grow, it has to have 14 to 16 mineral nutrients. And I won't list them all, but the calcium, potassium, and so forth. Fertilizer basically is what feeds the roots of this plant that allows this particular orange tree to grow, to have leaves, and to produce oranges. But something very interesting happens in the roots of these of all plants. There is a salicylic acid that is created and manufactured in the roots of all plants. So some of you are going to say salicylic acid. Well, that's aspirin. So I've always wondered why a tree produces aspirin, but no one has ever answered properly, except for the fact that the salicylic acid turns into what are called phytohormones. And the phytohormones go up into the tree and circulate through the tree. And that's called photosynthesis. You see here, the sun shines on the tree, and that completes the carbon dioxide and the sunshine together produce plant life, green plant life together. All plants are attacked by pathogens, pests, bacteria, virus, fungal material. And what happens is that when they are attacked, here's pesky little pathogens attacking the plant. You can see here that something happens that sort of surrounds this bite mark. And so when the pathogens attack, these pests attack, the salicylic acid activates the phytohormones. The phytohormones then convert inside the leaves phytonutrients. Has kind of a bitter taste, and they circulate through the leaves and repel these pests. During this time, the sun also shines on the tree, and that produces all the colors of the rainbow. And you'll notice that fruits and vegetables are all colored, and they're the color of the rainbow. And what happens is that the sun contributes to the coloring of those plants. And so every plant has many colors, and as many colors as they have, they will contain different phytonutrients. And the phytonutrients are very basic in fighting disease. So we eat colored plants, they are digested. The phytonutrients in those plants circulate in our blood and enter specific cells, and they protect us from bacteria, viruses, fungal attacks, and many deadly diseases. And we get those from colored vegetables and fruits and plants that we eat. And we can contribute the benefits of those from the bugs and the pests that attack the plants, that then the plants defend themselves by making these phytonutrients. Those phytonutrients act, and they are essential for your immune system to fight pathogens, premature aging, Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, and most cancers. Very important. There are about 25,000 known phytonutrients around, and it comes from the Greek word phyto, meaning plant, and nutrient meaning something that gives energy. And each plant manufactures one or many phytonutrients, and the colors are depicted. The colors depict the specific phytonutrient that they have and the benefits that comes from those specific phytonutrients. So it's really important that you eat a colored diet of many different colored fruits and vegetables. If you're interested in phytochemicals, the foods, you can go on your internet and go into sciencedirect.com. That's sciencedirect.com. And they have a list of all the phytochemicals, the phytonutrients, what color they are, what is the source, in other words, which food carries them, and the specific benefits, whether it fights breast cancer, colon cancer, aging, skin cancer, whatever. It has a very nice, so this is sciencedirect.com, and you can track that down on your computer. Now, one of the problem that we have nowadays is that we eat processed and commercial foods. Those processed foods have oxygen-free radicals, which attack your cells and cause inflammation. And when they cause inflammation, they really hurt the NF-κB balance that are in your cells. And so one of the problems is with these processed foods that they lack phytonutrients. So without the phytonutrients, we're developing a